Hello there, fish tankers. It's cold and it's dark here in Stellenbosch. We've got a patch of winter in the middle of what's supposed to be spring. Little Lulu is fast asleep, my black dachshund. And I thought I'd just give you a unplugged, as it were, rough cut of what's going on with all my aquariums. Here's the two upstairs. We'll go down to the two downstairs and just sort of share my thoughts of what is going on, because I don't have an idea for a video actually today. So guys, tell me in the comment section questions you want answered, maybe new subjects that you are interested in, new things to talk about, or that you would like to see. If it's within my knowledge or my scope, then I would make a video about that. But for now, let's just look at what's going on in all the aquariums. If that's something that you're interested in, then stick around. Okay, now here you see what I call the cube aquarium. It's actually a column. It's got a 30 by 30 centimeter footprint, 12 inches by 12 inches, but it is 35 centimeters high from bottom to top. And as you can see, like most of my tanks, is a deep dirted substrate. Can't really see the substrate in there. This is right on my desk where I work. It's quite a sturdy desk setup, and I've strengthened it as well. I wouldn't try this. This one is fine, but not that one on the modern sort of furniture. And what do we have here? We've got there in the plants, there's a male betta. He is a bit haggard. He's definitely on the old side. He was on the old side when I got him, quite frankly. I got him because he had these spectacular Hellboy colors. But he's old. He's got a, you can see the back is a bit bent, the spine. And the swim bladder thing, he doesn't float, but he struggles to stay afloat. But it's not really a problem here, because he goes into all that floating plants, and in those strands he rests there, or in his little Anubias tree over there. So he's feeding, he's getting along, and he seems to still be living a good life. Bettas have always been a pain for me. I've had him jumping out. You can see now here, there's hardly a spot for them to jump out. There you go. And with it here, I've got a school of eight CPDs, Celestial Pearl Danios, if a camera will focus there. There you see them, my favorite little nanofish. I made a separate video about them. They're constantly darting in and out, and if the lights go on, because these are set on a cycle that goes into the evening, then you see them all come out. And we see there's some Blanche baby marrows chucked in today. And we've got the ottos there. I can just find them there, you see. There are 3 ottos eating away at that baby marrow. Piece of spiderwood in the center. You'll see there's some Bucephalandra. And we've got a lot of a combination of dwarf sage and Vallisneria growing here. Lots of Vallisneria. Filtration wise, you can see there's a tiny little internal power filter, just pulling water through a sponge and blowing it out there. You see right there at the surface. And there's a tiny little sponge filter. We haven't had power failure trouble as of late, but it's still sort of hooked up there to an AC/DC pump with battery backup. And we also have a sponge filter in the, it's about a 30-gallon tank here. It's an odd size. It's about 80 centimeters long, and then 42 centimeters from front to back. And then you've got about 40 centimeters or a little more from bottom to top. Also a deep substrate. Even at night we have a damn reflection from the curtains. And here you can see there's also some baby marrow chucked in there. We've got ottos, we've got the Siamese algae eaters sticking out there. And you've got the rosy tetras, and then there's 6 of them. And then there's 2 breeding colonies of cherry barbs and diamond tetras. You can see the various sizes of diamond tetras There's a smaller one there. It's also no longer a baby. I find when some of them pass away of age, you see fry popping up that survive. So right now originally there was 6, there's 9 of them there right now. And this tank's been going for over 3 years now. So I can tell you a dirted substrate lasts at least that long. And I think the success of these breeding colonies is because there's so much hiding place in the plants. And there's also a power filter here right at the back, if I can get in there. Let's try and zoom out. You'll see it sitting there, and it's got a spray bar that's sort of angled towards the surface. That's what I like, surface agitation. And ram's horn snails, you've got nerite snails, and there's some Malaysian trumpet snails everywhere. The snails do hitchhike their way in. That's actually my favorite tank, this one. Really very low maintenance, and it's actually quite heavily stocked now. There's a dwarf karami also in there somewhere. I might overlay some close-up shots. You'll see cherry bulbs of various sizes. And then just quickly, here's the little terrarium. So I know it's not an aquarium, but I had a video where I used an empty, the same cube as I have those celestial pearldanias and the betta and the ottos in. And look how it's grown. I even trimmed it down a little bit. I left it open top because if I put a glass lid on, I have all this condensation on the glass, which I don't know, when you don't see through it, I don't know how you control that really with a terrarium. That was my first attempt ever at a terrarium. So you guys let me know in the comment section, any terrarium experts there, but it's basically a garden in an aquarium. And it's been doing rather well. I put some springtails in and some isopods. But that is that. Let's go down to the other tanks. And as we move down, ra-ta-ta-ta-ta, and there on the bookshelf, we've got the pea puffers. I'm going to switch off some of the outside lights so that we don't have to be bothered with that all the time. And this is a 5-gallon, standard 5-gallon, but with Opti white glass pea puffer tank. There's 3 pea puffers in here. And this is a tank that gives me the most grief. This is the one that really, there's a lot here that I have to do myself. As you can see, my other tanks, there's always some algae, but that's part of an ecosystem, and that's what I like doing, is low maintenance, low tech ecosystem sort of aquariums. And here you see all the snail shells lying here. Extra ram's horn snails sometimes get given to me and whatever, and I chuck them in here. And if I don't go for the snails and crush them like other puffers do, but somehow the snails eventually just end up being empty shells. I've never actually seen them eat a snail, but they obviously do, because the snails disappear. Very nice, personable little fish. These are my wet pets. But as you can see, I always battle with a sort of a brown, there you'll see. That sort of brown, slimy, fuzzy algae. It always crops up and I always have to manually remove it. I've got the tiny sponge filter in there. And I've got that very slow moving under gravel filter, plenum. This is not a dirted tank. We've got some fluoride red from Seachem mixed with sand with some cat litter on the bottom. And I made a thing about this, about me battling with the algae, and I had some very great comments from you guys. Dr. Novak actually made a comment that I shouldn't put the plant root tabs in. So I gravel vacked all the root tabs out. And also said I mustn't fertilize, and I don't put any fertilizer or root tabs or anything in this aquarium now. But yeah, I see there's some Bolbitis and Soeswassertang growing there. But I don't get great plant growth here. I've kept the light to an absolute minimum, 6 hours at the second to lowest setting. And you see these Bivalves don't really grow here. I put some plantlets in. They just sort of chug along very slowly. They don't take off like we do in my other tanks. And funnily enough, these crypts all melted, completely gone, and then they popped up again. So the crypts were gone. There you'll see one in between the Vallisneria over there. They just melted and then suddenly started growing again. But they remain like that. So the plants don't really grow to a point where they can outcompete the algae. But I also think it's a question of, what shall I call it? It's a question of the algae. It's a question of the algae having something to do with the feeding here, because they eat frozen bloodworms and brine shrimp. That's the only thing they eat, except for a few snails that I chuck in every now and then. And you know, that's meaty foods, and I think that's what causes this brown fuzzy algae. And if I could put an otto or something in here, it could take care of it, or a nerite snail, but it doesn't work here. The pea puffers harass them, so it's always just going to be the pea puffers. So I don't know, guys, tell me in the comment section. I was thinking maybe I must give up on the plenum experiment now. It does work in terms of water quality. The phosphates are almost undetectable, as are the nitrates. So it does work for that, this anoxic filtration. But the algae. Now I was wondering if I just change this into a sort of a, not deep substrate, but mini dirted tank, because it's only, it's 36 centimeters by 22 by 26 centimeters height. So I can't put the deep substrate in. I was thinking maybe if I just took a very thin layer of soil and then cap it with sand that's maybe just 2 inches thick, maybe that might work, or maybe not. You tell me what you think. I think a dirt tank could still work if I make it less dirt and it's not such a deep substrate. Why would it work for algae? My reasoning is maybe then I get better plant growth, and if I have lush plant growth, it might outcompete the algae for food. Does any of you keep pea puffers in a species only tank with nothing else in with them? And do you have the same problem with this brown algae? Is it maybe the tank size? If you keep them in a bigger tank, let's say 10, 20 gallons on their own, are you still going to have this fuzzy algae if you only have a pea puffers in there? Somebody has an answer to that, let me know in the comment section. Alright, enough of that. Here's my other tank. This is a big boy. This is a 4-footer. It's higher than your normal 4-foot 55-gallon tank. It's probably just, I'd call it the 75-gallon tank, but it's probably just under 70 gallons or 70 gallons. I don't know, but it's the biggest one I've got. And here we also have some fish that's grown really big. You'll see the angels there at the back. I'm going to overlay some footage of feeding time and so on, so you can see them better. It's now at night. The angel, she likes, is a female. She's just on her own. She likes to sit in there at the back at the filter, and then she comes cruising towards the front. Later at night, there's a Siamese algae eater. There's a bristlenose pleco sticking out. There's 2 of them there. This part of the tank, this corner here, I'm not crazy about. You can see it looks sort of bare. There used to be Java fin there. Now you see the filters sticking out, the sponge filter, the power filter. There's also a hang-on back here. And that looks kind of bare. I've had ball biters there, I've had Java fin, it just doesn't want to grow. But what does grow well, of course, and this tank is due for, all my aquariums are due for a water change and a bit of a glass clean and all of that next week. So you're not seeing the tanks in pristine condition. There's also some baby marrows that's been fed there. You guys in America call them a zucchini. That's what I mean with a baby marrow. Look at that pole gourami. It's grown into a really nice fish. And here's the other one. These 2 were fighting, but now they're no longer fighting. I still believe this is a female. It's more plump, but it does have those threaded dorsal fins. And then the bigger Harlequin rasbora is the old one. You'll see a while back I had this huge outbreak of disease And I lost all my harlequins bar the one year. Another John McLean, diehard. And I got 5 more so that there can just be 6. And then the Emperor Tetras, of course. That's a big thing. I'm not sure if that's the original male, if it was born here. But there's a lot of Emperor Tetras now. There's a female. I could count them the other day, and I still don't know if I have all of them. I could count 12, all in all. And some have passed on, but there's also a lot of youngsters, and they breed in the Vallisneria. So here we've got a breeding colony of Emperor Tetras. And then there's rummy noses, there's Cardinal Tetras, where's Bruce? There's a very big, very overweight, fat Siamese algae eater. And there's not much I can do about this obese fish because he's just too good at getting at the food. And if I cut down on the feeding, then you're always worried that an angelfish might just use a Cardinal Tetra for a snack. And this fish here is the last Colombian redfin tetra left here. You can see he's a really old fish now with a humpback. He's the last that's left. He's now over 6 years old. Got him when he was probably not even half that size. But that's what an old fish looks like. And here the angel comes to say hello. It's amazing how inquisitive she is. If she sees there's something going on, she'll come out to the front and she'll check it out. That Hanigurami as well. You can see that little fellow. It's also just a one male Hanigurami. In this big tank, usually you see them in much smaller tanks. But he likes it here, he digs it. It's his little posse. Yeah, so tell me, what do you think I must attach there as an epiphyte? Because you've got quite a strong water flow there. See, there's the outlet above. So is there an epiphyte that likes being in the strong flow? The Java fin just doesn't work here. Maybe I must try the Bolbitis again. There is the angel putting one Polgarami in its place. And funnily enough, this Pleco cave, neither of the two bristlenose Plecos really want to use it. And you see also there's Ottos. Not sure how many, it's impossible, you know, if Ottos don't breed, but I think I put in 7, and a few months ago when I did a water change, then they come out and they sort of show, and I got 7 there. You just saw a black Emperor Tetra there going back into the bushes. 2 black, there's one. Okay, hang on, there's one of the black ones. I can zoom in there. This is vlog style, people. I'm just sort of winging the camera around. There's a black one, and I never bought a single black Emperor Tetra. They were all the standard color. And then one day suddenly, boom, here appears a little black Emperor Tetra. A melanistic one, a Black Panther Emperor Tetra. And there's a second one as well. There's the second well. Then a while back, then pop, poop, here's another one, another black one. There it goes. It's hard for camera to focus. But there, so if you take out the black Emperor Tetras and you just keep on breeding them, then you have a whole black strain. You just let them breed here, they'll pop up a black one every now and then, it seems. There you see, there you'll see both black ones going there. And the Harlequin Rasboras decided they're staying there, that's their place. And there's a couple of white cloud mountain Vinos. A female, the plump one you can see, is the gold variety. And that's another female over there. That's your number one beginner fish, a terrific beginner fish in my opinion. Very easy to keep, they don't even require heated aquariums. And here's the one bristlenose Pleco. This is definitely the dominant male. He's got the bristles on his nose and eating that piece of zucchini. So there's the one. That's my missus's favorite fish. She loves this fish. Brings a little spark of joy every time he puts in an appearance, and you see them actually quite often. You see, nice male Emperor Tetra, another nice one. not posing. And then here we have the other bristlenose blecko sticking out. Well, I think that one doesn't have a prominent bristle, so my thinking was always it's a female, but I don't see any clusters of eggs or baby bristlenoses appearing. I had them do that in previous aquariums of mine. What does grow very well here of Anubias, this one was a small plant. It's hard to see on camera, but it's a pretty big plant here, and it keeps on popping up new leaves over there and a flower now and then. There's another Anubias, and there's one here right in the corner, if I can get a better shot. Shades out the crypts a little bit. The crypts ebb and flow. Crypts are funny plants. They've looked much better than they're looking now. The last time I did an update on all my tanks was 8 months ago. You can go back and you can look at that. This tank looks good, but it's not the best it's been. It's been better. It's been better. I must do something about that empty spot on that log. I must try and figure out what I'm going to do there. I don't want to plant plants behind it, because that's the space of that angelfish. She sits over there, so I don't want to take that space, that posse she's got there, away from her. And now, before I forget, there are 3 clown loaches in there. I'll overlay some footage there. But they've been here also for just over 6 years now. And they're much bigger now, they're chonkers. But they're still only about 4 inches, about 10 centimeters, but a heavy set 10 centimeters. That's the biggest one. And it's got 2 smaller buddies. And they'll eventually have to go to a bigger tank, but they are very, very slow growers. It's the slowest growing fish I have ever seen. I mean, these bulgaramis, he doesn't want to pose for me, or she. They went from small in the shop to this size. Now they're around, they're about 4 inches, I would say. But they're sizable fish. And they went there quite quickly. That's why I like this size of tank. I like a 55 to 75 gallon tank, because what I do find is a fish, your normal run-of-the-mill aquarium fish, they tend to reach their potential in here. You know, the angels grow to their proper full size, they don't get stunted. And your tetras like that Colombian redfin, if you have them in a 2-foot tank, which is really too small, or even in a 90p, you don't see them get quite that big. People are always surprised when they see the size of this fish. Okay, well, that is that, guys. Please remember to share if you've enjoyed this update. And until I see you guys again, those of you who haven't already, please remember to subscribe. I would be interested in your answers and comments to my questions, because I'm also, even though I've been in this hobby for very long, you're also always learning to do things, and sometimes you just stump, like some plants that won't grow and others that grow, and maybe you just have discovered the secret there that I have not. So please remember to subscribe, and until we see each other again, take good care of those domestic denizens of the deep.